Hi everyone, it's Niamh here and welcome to my art journaling channel. Today we're going to be looking at doing a simple lace cut page in our journal. So I'm starting off in my new classics Dilutions journal. And I did actually start this. I thought I had pressed record, but I obviously hadn't. I missed out the first little bit. So the basics to doing lace cut pages is to have a really sharp craft knife. That is the biggest one. Obviously you can see that red board I've got underneath is a cutting board. So that is a cheap cutting board from IKEA or dollar shop. I've just cut one in half so it fits into my journal. The reason I like using this one instead of a proper cutting board is the fact it's quite thin, so I can get up quite close to the gutter in my book. You'll notice around the outside of my page I am leaving a border. Now, because I've done this so often, I don't necessarily need to have a guide there to do it. I know to stop myself, but I would suggest if you're doing this as a beginner that you just put a border around the outside of your page using washi tape. And washi tape will remove itself really easily, especially if you heat it up gently with a heat gun first. But it just gives you that visual reminder that you need to stop cutting, which is really, really important. So if I cut to the edge of the page, obviously it's going to be really, really weak. The shapes that I've used on my page are really organic. So you could see as I was moving my wrist that I was just sweeping my hand down. I wasn't trying to do anything really complicated by trying to twist my wrist, which I'm about to do now. Just those really simple leaf shapes are really, really easy to use. The other thing that you can do is to use a stencil, draw that out on your page and try cutting around that. I would just find that doing those little shapes, I can cut out the big shapes first and then I can go back in and cut out the gaps in between so you get those little triangles and so on. But I wanted this page to kind of echo the page on the other side, so I'm cutting out some letters. Now, for this, I didn't draw the letters out beforehand. I'm just writing them out using some block letters. However, if again you are doing this for the first time, I would suggest you try writing them. Did I write? I might have written it out just to draw the spacing. I'm just seeing some little flecks of pencil there, so I may have written it out. It would be a good idea too, but I am silly enough that I would just, go and cut. So that is what the page looks like. So you can see where the cutting mat goes and how it all works together. Now, this is a little trick I learned from the wonderful Tracy Scott, who is a designer for Paper Artsy. She discovered, or in her wisdom, found that if you stamp with the archival ink, because it's oil-based, if you stamp black on black, you will get this subtle difference in colour. So you can sort of see the stamping, but it's really, really subtle in the background, and it's just a really nice way to finish off your page. So I did a little bit of stamping over the top. You don't see it very much because obviously I've got very thin little bridges holding everything together, but it's just enough to catch the light when you see it really close. I also wanted to put a little bit of extra detail in here, and this is where you can have lots of fun with your white pens. So I'm just putting little stitch marks in. Nothing complicated, but it just sort of adds to the overall effect and helps everything blend together. Now again, I'm not seeing very much contrast here because I've got a black page underneath here. So by doing this was giving me a little bit of time to think about what am I going to do underneath here to make this lace cut page kind of stand out from the background somewhat. And I really wasn't sure what I was going to do. So I ended up using some new products in the background, some texture paste that I had just bought and I wanted to play around with. But as you can see on the previous page, that's another lace cut page, and I used a printed tissue paper. It happens to be one of my designs from Scrap FX, but printed tissue paper or collage paper, scrapbooking paper, anything you want to use in the background will work really, really well. I chose to, I had this down first. So I've got these tissues. I'd been doing some collage and I had some left over, so I decided to put some collage tissue down. Now, obviously, because I'm working on black, it's not showing up quite as I wanted it to in the background. When it dries, it did come up a little bit more, but it just didn't stand out the way I really wanted it to. Everything sort of blended in just that little bit too much. But it gave me a good basis, and it gave me a bit of an idea of what stencil to use in the background. So I've got all these sort of floral prints in the background, lots of crazy colours that I could sort of use. So when you see when it dries off, some of those colours will come out a little bit more, but it's still quite subtle in the background. Not quite as bright as the previous page, and you know you don't see too much as or contrast from the lace cut page. And I suppose that's the whole thing about lace cut pages. You want to see a little bit of contrast in what you're doing. So I decided I would put some stenciling in the background. So you can see me auditioning some stencils, but I wasn't 100% sure this is the one I wanted to use. So I was still thinking, I thought maybe that one, no, too many lines. So then I decided this one to fit in with the florals I had in the background. I originally got out some Cadence gold diamond texture paste. It's really nice texture paste, but it's a little bit gritty, which is obviously the diamondy sort of type glitter through it. But I didn't particularly want anything too textured, so I decided to get my neons out because it's me, and it blended in with the page next door. So these texture pastes are from Vicky Bouton, I think, from American Craft. They come in a set of 6. They are very, very bright. They spread on really, really well. And you only need the thinnest coat to do this, so you don't need to have very much. I'm using my palette knife to sort of spread it out as thin as I possibly can. I would highly recommend, if you are using texture paste on your stencils, that you wash your stencils straight away afterwards. I'm usually pretty bad at doing that, but when it comes to texture paste, it is really a good rule of thumb to go and clean them off. The reason for that is if you've got the texture paste on it, you don't get as clean as a stenciled image. It sometimes puts lumps and bumps on your stencil, which is where paint can leak through underneath and give your stenciling not a great look. So while I'm terrible at cleaning my equipment, usually with texture paste, I will go and give it at least a good wipe down with my wet wipes. So once I finished, I glued my page down. Now that's just a personal choice. Quite often with lace cut pages, I will leave them separate so you can sort of flip it up and see the texture behind. But because the other page on the other side was glued down, I thought that I would glue this page down as well. So it sort of all worked as just one page. So I hope you have a go at lace cut pages. They are really simple. Just have a go. It's like drawing with a knife, but have a sharp blade or have some extra blades just in case, because that's the one, if you've got a sharp blade, you're going to have a really easy time doing it. Hope you have fun. Until next time, bye for now.